Ken Adgate. Now you have the Parawinging bug. Welcome to the podcast. What are your views on the freestyle discipline for Parawinging?
For me, no.
Why do you think people are gravitating to the Parawing?
Oh, easy. The foils you could ride, the boards you could ride.
Let's talk a little bit about technique. Tell us a little bit about your tacking. Do you have a sinker, water start technique? Also talk about when to initiate the down loop.
So like I go in the trick with an extreme amount of speed. You bring it behind you and do that motion. Pull the seat, the outside C.
I think once that's dialed, that's going to look really nice. Do you have any kind of land drills that you recommend people doing?
I think you can make huge strides playing around with it on land. Brand new out of box, I cut and spliced 9 inches. Like the flows. The flows have an amazing line. I stiffen up my lines with...
That's a good hack.
I got tumbled in a wave and felt the lines wrap around my feet. Be ready for it. I'm on the edge all the time, so.
Can't wait to be with you in Hood River, man.
The crew there is going to be epic for you in July.
Welcome to the Lab Rat Foiler podcast. My name is Dan, and today we have Ken Adgate. He's been involved in wind sports and board sports for a long, long time. Ken, you've seen a lot of the wind sports and foil disciplines start from the very beginning, and now you have the Parawinging bug. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Ken, we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, and we'd like to get a little bit of background on you before we get started. But Ken's also a board shaper and board designer. You can see in the background there he has one of his shapes being done for Sinbad, which is pretty cool. We'll touch on that. Yeah. So we'll definitely double click on board design for Parawinging. I think you have an interesting take on what you think is working, what's going to work for different disciplines within Parawinging as well. So Ken, before we start diving deep into Parawinging, I was just going through your Instagram feed, and the very first thing I saw was you sending a Rayleigh behind the boat. Is that how you started in your board sports journey and wakeboarding?
Yeah, so we moved to Rio Vista when I was like 15, which is right next to a river. So my dad got a boat, and then every day after work we would convince him to take us out, and we'd go wakeboarding until dark almost every single night. So me and my brother grew up wakeboarding every single night. So
it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a great background, water background to go into kiteboarding for sure.
Yeah. Is that how you progressed? You started with wakeboarding. How did you get into foiling?
So there was a lot of days I'd sit in a dry wetsuit on the beach, just like watching these guys go out, Mike and Vlad and a couple of local guys that were foiling. And at first I was like, that's lame. I'm like, I'll never do that. And then it got to a point where I was sitting on, and I only rode boots back then. So you need, I don't know, probably 18 miles an hour at least to even have fun, even with the 12-meter Vegas. So I was sitting there and I'm like, God, I got to try this. I mean, they're at least on the water. So that kind of what got me going into the foiling. And then it got to a point where they were like doing laps around me. I'm like, okay, well, I want to get good enough for if I do line up with them, I don't look like a kook. So, and then it just became competitive like everything else in my life. So.
Yeah, how was that progression from kiteboarding into kite? Foiling was the first one? Kite foiling, is that where you started?
Yeah, kite foiling. So I bought a Sword 2 from Johnny Heineken, out of all people, which I didn't know who he was at the time, so that was funny. And then, just went out there and was riding. I did want to buy a Mikeslab after meeting him, but he's just like, kid, you're not ready for it. So, that was another goal, is to get good enough where he would consider me someone he would sell it to. So money wasn't something that he was interested in back then. It was all about getting the foils to the top riders. So I wanted to be in that category. So
nice.
So
I have a very similar background, coming from like just doing wake style kiting into kite foiling. And I remember when I first started kite foiling, after that, I think I touched the twin tip maybe 3 or 4 times. I just got completely sucked into it. And then winging, and then proning, and then all these different disciplines. But tell us a little bit about your journey after that. So you did kite foiling, obviously then wing foiling came on, and did you catch on to that pretty quick?
I thought it was stupid.
Man, why do we do that?
I don't know. I don't know. Our buddy Billy Ackerman, I have to give him a shout out because without Billy here, none of us would probably be winging, at least as early as we were, because he kind of showed me the light when I was riding in Dillon, which is a good wave spot. It was terrible wind. I was on a strapless surfboard, just kind of mowing the lawn. And he was just ripping on waves, and it was terrible, gusty, nasty wind, and he was just flagging out and riding these sets, and I'm like, okay, I want to get good enough just to be in that situation, and then I'll stick with kiting still, and it just became one of those things where it became funner and funner, and as you get better, you just get motivated to get better. So.
Yeah, 100%.
That's basically where it went.
Oh, dude, it's so similar to myself as well. We have this little pushback at first because it looks horrible, but then you understand like what it opens up for you in the water, and time that you can do something in the water that's going to be more enjoyable than, like you said, maybe just having a surfboard and a kite. And for me right now, it's just maximizing whatever's good on the day. You know, if it's a winging day, great. If it's a good, kite foiling day, great. Have fun with everything.
Yeah. And that's the same thing I think too, is I'm a condition rider. So if it's flat and it's windy, I'll go strapless surfboard. Or if it's like super glassy behind our islands, I'll go on boots still. So it's just condition based. So it's funny, like, what's your favorite thing to do? I'm like, well, name the day and the location.
Yeah.
So
yeah, give us the conditions and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, man.
The Parawing was the same thing with Billy. Billy got me and all of the local guys into Parawing. We thought it was the dumbest thing, and he's trying it on a sinker board and just struggling. And he did it all over again because he was the first guy winging and he was struggling on a sinker board with old gear. And then he did the Parawing. I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. And then I saw some stuff in Maui and I'm like, okay, I got to at least learn this because I think in Hood River it's just going to be absolutely epic.
Oh, 100%. When were you in Maui that you saw it?
It was when Greg first introduced it. So
yeah, around September last year or something.
Yeah, I think so. And then I basically was going to go up to him, beg him to buy one, and I'm like, man, I'm going home. That's not the conditions for it. So I basically begged Sinbad to ask him if I could buy one direct, and then so I'll have one when I go back to Maui, which he was kind enough to do. And I had it in Maui, and I had a great time. Wasn't proficient at it, and definitely didn't have the right board for the sport. So then I came back, and it was just like I told Johnny, I was like, we got to start making some Parawing boards.
Nice.
So that's where we've been and where we're going. So.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. Tell us a little bit about that initial contact with the Parawing. I think a lot of people are starting their journey now. You said you might have been on the wrong board. What board did you start on?
I started on a wing board, so it was a 410 by 19, probably 43 liters. I can't remember, 45
small.
liters. Super small. You can make it work in Maui just because it's so windy, but it's not ideal. And then I built a Parawing board for the next time I went back, and that was a 73 liter 511 by 19, 73 liters, and that was
nice.
That was pretty money. A little bit big for winging, so I went back and made a 5.8.5 by 18.5, and that's what I've been riding lately. And that one I really like the size for my weight, which is I'm 180, so I'm like 80 something kilos. So it's kind of a little bit of a sinker, but plane's really good. So is
that still 70 something liters, that one?
No, that's 62, 63.
62. Yeah, nice. And have you felt that because 18 wide is pretty narrow still for a board, why are you choosing to go so narrow? Do you feel like it just gives you that projection on the water and still stable enough?
Yeah. The other thing I've been noticing, I don't mind it. Some people like the offset of foot placement where they have a little more leverage on the rails. That's kind of why I've added quite a bit of deck concave, is to give you some more input on your feet with not being so angled on your front foot and back foot offset wise. So that's why I've been doing that. For me, I'm riding like 80 mast, 77 to 80 mast. So having a more narrow board, you can really pitch it over and really get aggressive with the foil, and then you have zero rail interference. So that's another thing. But I do think the skinnier, longer shape I find that it planes the fastest.
Yeah.
For me personally, but it could be different with other people.
Yeah, I have a 1-to-1 weight to volume ratio board as well. So it's an 85 liter board, 511 by 18, and I enjoy that a lot. I can get up on pretty much any wind on that at the moment, like 15 knots, 14 knots. On the right Parawing, I can get up. But I just ordered a new board because I wanted something thinner. That's like over 6 inches of thickness, and I think it's just too much. You feel a little disconnected from the board. So now I'm going 5.8 by 20, 65 liters, just to really reduce that thickness. But now I'm like, as soon as you lock in a board with a shaper, you're like, shit, I think I needed it a little bit less wide than that, but whatever.
Yeah. What I did to offset that is I did a cockpit design so you could keep the side profile nice and kind of good looking in a way. It's not so thick and chunky. And then you could give yourself a little bit of a raised deck as far as the nose location and then the tail location. And then it kind of gives you a nice footprint on the upslope on your front foot and the upslope on your back foot, so you kind of know exactly where you're at on the board when you're kind of moving around strapless, especially.
That's interesting.
So it kind of gives you a reference all the time because you got a kick, front kick, rear kick for your front and back foot, and then I have a deck concave, which gives you your input on where you're at standing on the rails of the board. So
that's pretty cool.
And then I usually do a 1/2 inch deck concave and then 1 1/4 inch of basically cockpit. So figure it's 1 3/4 inches off of a 7-inch block of foam. So it gets you a little bit more direct connection to the foil. So you feel a little bit, I don't know, it just feels a little bit nicer under your feet.
Yeah. What are your views on the like volume distribution on the board? Do you carry a little bit more volume on the nose, or you don't want that nose too high so it's not that draggy? Because the tail dragging on the water is really tough for parawinging. So
my designs are a little bit different than most. I run a lot of rocker, so the closest boards I would say to my style of system would be Frank's boards in Maui. He runs a lot of volume or a lot of rocker, front rocker. It's just a continuous rocker. A lot of them have a rocker, a slow rocker, and then kind of a flat section, and then it has a tiny tail kick, if any. Mine have a lot of tail kick, like there's probably 2.5 inches behind the box of tail kick, and then about 5 3/4 of rocker in front of the box. So a decent amount. I mean, it's kind of like a banana bottom. I find that it might not be the best for planing, but you're going to get everything after that. You're going to get the touchdowns are going to be amazing. The pumping is going to be amazing. The rebound off the water is going to be really good for those slow speeds, stall out speeds to pop it back up and foil.
Interesting.
And then obviously tail interference, you're not going to have any because it's going up, it's rocking up, right? Plus it's turning into that V hole in the rear. So your rail clearance when you're turning, even though you have a lot of tail behind your back foot, it's not going to affect you at all.
That's awesome. That's the first time I'm hearing about that, like a little bit more of an amplified rocker design for the boards, because everybody's like flat rocker as much as you can for that, planing. Do you find that a kind of like, let's just call it a banana shaped rocker, does it change the mast angle, the angle of attack of the mast, depending on where you are on the deck? I found a little bit tricky, like sometimes they have a smaller sweet spot than boards that are flat. Do you find that as well, or do you find that's not a real issue? Or what does it give you? What's the benefit, actually?
The benefit is you can control your deck angle much easier. You don't have to change your thickness of your rocker to make your front portion of your rocker by your front foot thicker to give you some deck angle. So that's the other thing about my boards that really no one's doing besides maybe F1. They're adding some deck rocker, they call it. So or I call it. So what I do is I take an anklemometer and zero it out on my mast or my tracks. And then I'll take a straight edge of where your front and back foot would be, and then put the anklemometer there. And then we're finding like a 2.2 to 2.6 degree deck angle in relationship to the mast mount. is a very comfortable angle of attack versus 0.
Yeah. It's interesting. I had a downwind board that had that, and I found it a little bit tricky. And I think it's more because of the size of the board as well. I think it would work. It works very well on a small board. I can see how it can benefit on a small board. But on an 8-foot board, I think it becomes too much of an angle. And I found the sweet spot of that board so hard to find. But I can see this working on something like 5.5 to even a 6.5. You know, like that range would work really well.
I would say so until I saw Frank's boards. If you notice Frank's boards, I mean, they're one of the most popular boards on Maui right now. I think he's kind of he has an amazing design, and most of the high-end riders, when they try them, they're like, man, this thing's, there's something special about it. And I mean, so not a lot of people have tried it, especially manufacturers. So you kind of can't knock it until you try it. And everybody that's tried his boards have not said one thing bad about it taking off slow or feeling draggy or anything. So there might be something there to at least dabble with and see if it works.
Let's talk about boards for people that are getting into the sport now. There's probably, I think, 3 disciplines of the sport that are kind of obvious right now. People getting into with a downwind board, something really big. People getting into the sport with a midi, and then people getting into the sport maybe just with a wingboard, you know, like a squared shaped board. Can you talk a little bit about a board shape that you find ideal for parawinging? I know it's hard because it could be anything.
It's condition based. Condition based for 1, and then talent level for 2. But I mean, if you're in a windy situation, you could get away with a lot of choices. I mean, Maui, you could get away with a sinker board all the way to, I think a sinker board to a 5.8 to 5.10 board is kind of all you need in Maui, or Hood River. If it's your main discipline and that's all you're going to do, you could probably you're probably going to have 1 or 2 or even 3 board quiver. But if you're kind of like us, where you ride the conditions and you're not going to go parawinging in flat water and be bored as hell. So, so it all depends. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I'm fairly talented, so I would say I still want a board that when I'm trying to be really aggressive on the swell, I don't have to worry about falling. I'm not stressing to get up again. So I'm going to be in the 62 to 68 range leader-wise, and a 5.8 to 5.11 board is still very fun, playful. So for me, I mean, that's it. For an intermediate guy, I would say, a 70, 80 liter probably would be the call. Maybe like a 6.0, 6.4, maybe I mean, even a downwind board would be good, just to hop on and be able to get up and at least get the characteristics and get your jibes and tacks down, get the pack down correct, and then just have fun instead of struggling out there. So start something bigger, like you said in the past podcasts, and then work your way down. Yeah,
I think that's right. I can see myself with a 3 quiver board, this midi that we talked about. Probably getting something that I can sup with as well, maybe around like low 7, just a 7.0 or a 6.8, something like that I can sup surf with for really low wind if I want to do that. And then let's get your take on this as well, but I do want to get into a little bit of freestyle with the Parawing. I know it's not meant for it, but I can see myself having fun. Like just jumping off the back of a wave and just sending, a back 3 or something like that. Bringing it back to wake style. What are your views on the freestyle discipline for parawinging?
For me, no. The only thing I want to do with parawing is do laps at the hatchery and Rufus. Just basically pack it away. My goal is to pack it away 100 times a session, and just do laps and just be proning the whole time, and just basically like McFloey. I mean, he's a style that I'm definitely going to try to emulate when I get up to Hood. So something like that. That's why I want to learn to parawing and be really efficient. When I go up there, I'm just going to be keyed and ready to go. So, but yeah, watching Ballsmueller and those guys, I mean, it's fun to watch.
It's fun to watch.
It's definitely not me.
Look, I just want to try everything at the moment. I feel like 100%. Look, if I say I want to try these things, but then when I'm out in the water and I see a bump, I'm like, screw this, man. I'm just going to ride these bumps. You know, like it's hard to get away from being able to prone or go downwinding for kilometers with a prone board, you know, size board. Like, that's just amazing. And that's what the Parawinging is for, I think, and that's where it shines. But you're going to be in Hood River this year as well?
Yep, July. Yeah.
July, sick.
And you're gonna be there as well, hopefully, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 14th to the 31st. Yeah, that's gonna be a big crew there, man. Sinbad's going. You're going.
The Mikeslab Mafia.
Yeah. I spoke with Keith from KT. He's gonna be there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, as well. He's gonna bring some of his middle lengths for people to try, but. Tell us a little bit about Hood, man. It's going to be my first season there. I've never been. The last 2 years I've been like, I need to go. And then my leave block, you know, lined up in July this year. I'm like, come on, I have to make it happen.
It's a must. It's a must. Like Maui's a must. That's a must. It's the people there are amazing. The scenery is so beautiful. Fresh water. And the wind is gusty. But, man, for winging and parawinging, it's nothing's better. I mean... just watch McFlowy videos, and it's just like you can just imagine that's almost an everyday thing in July. So,
oh my god,
it's pretty epic. But the people though, oh my god, it's so awesome. You're around people that are like us. They're just jonesing to be out in the nature, and everybody's in a positive mood. Like when Freddie and Liam came from, where are they from? Where are they from? England, yeah, UK.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you could just tell that they were just having the time of their life. So it's one of those places
the U-hauler.
Oh yeah. But it's one of those places that you just, the people you're around, it makes it makes it awesome.
Oh, I can't wait, man. I think for me, I'm just gonna rent a van and just do the whole van thing, and maybe go up the mountain during the nights and just get a cooler air and just come back during the day, have something to do shuttles with.
We're gonna be camping out with our van too, me and my wife. So we basically on east days when the east winds are blowing, or out east at Rufus or something, you'll be with the whole crew. So we'll tell you when to go out there. But man, it's awesome. You camp out there. There's a couple cool campgrounds. You camp at Rufus, but it's just dusty and sandy. But across the river, a little bit up the way, there's a nice grassy campground. But man, you're gonna have a blast. I
can't wait.
It's so fun.
Do you think
if you mountain bike, if you mountain bike, it's some of the best mountain biking in the world too. So
that's awesome. If we get a down day or something,
or just do it in the morning.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I wake up in the morning and then I go for a bike ride, and then we have big breakfast and then hit the water until dark.
Nice. What time does the wind kick in there? Is that a kind of an 11 o'clock thing, or just blast through the whole day?
It's funny. Up or towards the coast, it will be blowing earlier, so it'll be blowing in the morning. But Rufus and those places are in the afternoon, and then the hatcheries starts up at around 10, 11. So, but you definitely want to get there early on parking spots, because all the windsurfers will be out dark 30. As soon as the winds popped, they'll be all out there. So, and then the winging crew comes, and then the kiters come, and then it's fun. It's chaotic. It's a chaotic fun for sure.
Yeah.
If you're really good and I don't know, experience, I guess you would say, you feel in your element. But man, I feel bad for if I was like an intermediate guy, I'd be just like curled in a ball, trying not to get hit by somebody.
Yeah. How busy does it get there? Like Rufus would be packed.
No, so Rufus, you could go upwind and go to the wall, and there's plenty of ways you get out of the way of some Rufus. Now at the hatchery though, it's showtime. It's you want to get out of the way. You're not you're not there.
Yeah. You just blast through, and people are just you're going downwind. People have an awareness that you're coming, and they just let you through. It's kind of people are doing backflips on top of you. What's the deal?
You better be able to maneuver away from them. How about that? You're playing defense.
Yeah, well, I guess the windsurfers, they'll always just stay their course.
Yeah,
That's
they'll be on
everywhere in
their,
the world.
they'll be on their line, and they'll purposely try to veer at you. But there's
Yeah.
a lot of cool windsurfers up there. At first, they were like hating on all the wingers, and then we became, all right, we're here together. Let's make this work. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of really cool windsurfers up there that I've met that I really like. So
Oh man, I'm really looking forward to it, and I don't even know what to expect. Like I hear all these stories, and you know, you see these like photos of, you know, when it's really big, it's like overhead bumps, and then you're just like going downwind, just screaming basically.
Yep.
You just, the stoke level will be very high. Cool, man. Look, we'll definitely touch base when we get there, and we'll get some sessions on. But why do you think? Like, I think a lot of the people there will be on Parawings this year.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And why do you think people are gravitating to the Parawing these days for downwinding versus a sup paddle approach?
Oh, easy. I mean, the gear, the foils you could ride, the boards you could ride. For me and like Johnny and the guys that could go upwind really well with them, we're not looking to hop in somebody's van or truck and drive up and do a, I don't know what, 15-minute run.
Yeah,
a 15-minute run. I mean, we're going to be out there for 4 or 5 hours, so we're just going to do laps. And I think that was a big change versus Sam's wing. I bought all of Sam's wings, but it was kind of one of those things. You get up, you're on the proper gear, but then you're shuttling back, and I didn't want to do that. So we started. Well, I did it once or twice, but Johnny did it quite a bit, where he would basically wing up, pack it down, put it in a dry bag, and then hit the run down, still paddling, but he was doing laps doing that, and just not having to get rides, because he was in the same boat. He's like, I'm not going to be on the road trying to get a ride, which is really easy there, but if you like your gear and you're really particular about your foils, you're not doing that. So,
yeah, things get damaged along the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is tough, and you're not going to be putting things on board bags. You're going to have to chase people up for the bag afterwards.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
And I had that question because one of the things that I'm doing these days, I'm not doing long downwinders anymore. I live in the bay, so the bay here has little pockets of really good spots where the bumps pick up a little bit in, you know, a 10-kilometer run. So we used to just aim for those spots, and, you know, you hit it as you go by, but you keep going on the paddle. You don't stop and paddle back up or anything like that. So now with the Parawing, I just park my car there, and I just do these laps of this high-performing area. And geez, I'm like thinking about turns and everything. Your progression level just skyrockets when you start doing that stuff. And my idea for Hood is exactly what you said. Like, try to avoid the shuttling and the time you waste shuttling, and go upwind. And because the current's going against the wind as well, is it even easier to do those upwinds?
Super easy to go upwind. And if you can't go upwind, you can basically sit on your board and you'll ebb upwind. So it's like, it's super easy. That's why
have
it's
a
just
snack on the way up.
Yeah, it's such an amazing spot. So yeah, I'm jonesing. I can't wait.
All right, you sold me already. There's nothing else that I want to do apart from downwinders in Hood River, and avoid the shuttling.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about technique. So you said you tried everything under the sun when it comes to boards. You tried the sinker boards. Do you have a sinker starting water start technique that you can talk us through, or something like that could help people that want to really like downsize their board to that sinker size?
Yeah, I mean, the way I do it, it's a semi-sinker, is I'll basically fly it with one hand, and then as soon as I get a little bit of forward momentum, get the board on the surface kind of planing a little bit, I'll just take my spare hand and help me go from knees to standing, and then usually it's just boom, boom, and you're up and riding. So I kind of wait on, I don't kind of just slog there and kind of just like wait for the wind. I kind of just look for a gust line, and if I see a nice little gust line coming, then I'm prepared, and I usually a couple little jerks with the Parawing, I'm up and going. So a board that planes really nice is a huge advantage, especially in gusty situations.
I love what you said there about, and this is where I think your experience in wind sports in general is like you just brush through it and you don't even notice, but like just looking back to look at the surface of the water, look where the gusts are coming, timing, your get up at the right time. I think people that are starting and don't have that much experience in wind sports, they just miss those little details that are almost intuitive to you, right? What are your like main tips for people who are starting parawinging? Because in I think a lot of people starting parawinging will be coming from a different foiling discipline. It's not going to be their first thing in foiling. But people that are coming from winging, for example, what are the things that you brought from winging into parawinging that kind of helped you in that journey?
I mean, they could go back to their beginning days where they're on a bigger board and a bigger foil and going out on proper days where they're not on super light days. And you kind of just go winging again, start from day one. And it's very similar. It's just the pumping technique. If you don't have it anyways as an intermediate winger, then it's not going to be a huge difference on pumping. But when you get used to pumping with your lower body and upper body, then you just lose that upper body motion. You have to use a little bit more lower end and kind of bear off a little bit more, and then kind of use a little bit of surface bumps to get you that forward momentum, to get you that basically drive to get you foiling. But yeah, I mean, basically just go back to square one and bigger setup would help. And then obviously being on windy days, I mean, you could pretty much be, I would say for the beginning, you'd want to be, if you're riding a 3-6 wing, then go out on a 4-3 or pocket wing.
Parawing. Yeah.
And then you know you're going to have a proper, usually it's the same ratio, but then you know you're going to have enough to get up and not struggle so much.
Yeah, and it's nice to talk a little bit about that. Comparing the sizes of a wing versus a parawing. I think at least half a size up from your wing to start off is good, and then I think you can match it 1-to-1 later on, because once you size up too much, you'll get up easier. But then once you're on foil, it becomes a little bit too much because the wind range is a little bit tighter. But you get so much better. Like I noticed today going out on a 3, back in the day it was a little bit of a struggle, but today, you become very sensitive with your pumping to the point where you're just getting that enough speed. And I read the water like a skate pump track and try to use every little, chop on the water to my benefit. And you get good at that. You get sensitive with your pumping technique, knowing when to actually start going upwind versus going downwind too much. Those things will come, right?
And the other thing I found that is useful is, let's say port, if you're going left foot forward and the swell's working against you, like if the bumps are working against you, then it's probably going to be easier to flip over to starboard and go right foot forward, and at least you have the swells benefiting you as far as getting going and getting planing faster. Sometimes the swells are fighting you one direction versus the other, so that could help too. Yeah,
depending on your spot, you might just have to start switch or toe side. Either can work.
And starting toe side is fairly easy because you can hold the wing with one hand. So sometimes that's not a bad idea. My buddy Billy, that's how he gets up every time, is just one hand, and he starts opposite. So
yeah, you've been riding a few different Parawings. What have you tried?
The BRM. Greg was nice enough to sell me one last year when he introduced it, and then I got the Flow because I heard some good things about it, and I thought it was probably the top wing for a while. I think it's just, Greg's is the best for packing down. I still think it's one of the best and funnest to ride in waves in Maui. But I think the Flow just kind of brought it to another level as far as stability, and then be able to tack it much easier. Stowing away is a little bit more difficult, but the performance of it went up. And then just got the Ozones lately, and that just stepped it up another game changer level. A little bit more higher aspect, goes upwind extremely well. It's probably the easiest one to tack out of all the wings, or out of all the Parawings I've tried.
Nice.
By far. And then stowing it is a little bit different. Like there's 6 front A-lines. And if you grab the 4 front A-lines and you work them in that way, it'll accordion. Yeah. And then you basically just do that, and then you could basically just flag it out with that, or you could fold it over on itself and then stow it away.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. You could depower it, which is cool, fully lit up. So like you could see Kai Lenny's video when he's going down Jaws, he just grabs those 4 front A's, and he's fully powered. That day I was at Pier 1 and it was blowing probably 25 to 30. So it was a lit up day, and I think that was a 3 meters on. So just to show you that you could fully depower it in the power range, is you can't do that with pretty much almost any Parawing, I don't think.
It would be difficult. You would have to muscle it, yeah.
It would be very difficult, but the Ozone's kind of accordion, and then and then the nice thing about it comes in, and then you could grab the you could grab all the battens and you can put them in your one hand, and then you could kind of fold it up nice and neat. So
nice.
Just different style.
Lots of things to touch on there. Like you mentioned that the Ozone goes upwind really well. What makes a Parawing go upwind well in your opinion?
I mean, the higher aspect really helps, I think. It's not so like Sam's wings back in the day were just basically a parachute. So as soon as you kind of give them some higher aspect look, I think that helps a lot. Having the A lines being pretty structured with which Ozone does well. They have a lot of the obviously the battens to hold the structure of the leading edge. Really helps the performance of them. They don't depower as well because of that, but they do really get overpowered though. I've been in them really overpowered in Maui and they're fine.
Yeah. Do you think, what's the low end like? Is there a compromise in the low end a little bit, or and I know your technique is pretty good now, but in comparison to say something that's a little bit less high aspect than that?
I would say that the B arms are pretty grunty. For size wise, they're probably the most gruntiest ones. But they're still very good. I mean, the 3 meter Ozone is still the sail is pretty big. So it's if you compare it to a BRM, I would say the 3 is more like a 3.6 in BRM sizes. So. I don't know. It does really well. I think people are going to be pretty happy with it. I'm excited to try a couple other brands. I think Fly Surfers is probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm keen to try something with some like a bridle system just to see what's the deal there, and if it really gives you that benefit.
Yeah, and I saw Nash's bunch of prototypes on Maui, and they're kind of like, ooh man, and then what they just introduced looks good.
It looks good.
So I have to give you and Jasmine a props. It definitely looks good. So I'm excited to try that one. I mean, if Ewan likes it, I'm sure it's good. So
yeah, I'm pretty excited about that one as well. I think he's going to send one down to test the 4 meter. And I heard that like even though the bridle system, like you would think that it kind of gets in the way when you're stowing, it's very close to the bar, so you can't really feel it. I think if they were set up in a way where it's a little bit further in the lines and you kind of have to grab it after the bar, you might feel it a little bit more, but no one has been really talking about that in a negative way. Tell us a little bit about your tacking. You said that the Ozone is also really good for tacking. What makes it good to drive upwind?
I think it's the steering side of it. I think it steers really well. So, and you kind of feel it a little bit more than most Parawings. You could kind of feel where it's at in the window. So that helps a lot. And then when it goes to 12 o'clock, it doesn't have a crazy amount of lift, which is a good thing because that transition is pretty difficult. And then when it gets to the other side, it's not like diving down into the water is aggressive as some other brands. So I just found it was pretty easy. It was like two times to try it, and it was just like, okay, it's like an automatic thing.
Nice.
And then as far as jibing it, Tom actually showed me a cool technique is just pull the outside C line, and then just kind of give it a little yank when you're doing your jibes. I got to a point now where I don't even do that. I kind of do a down loop like the kiting days, because I outrun it anyways by doing the jibe so fast. So I end up just down looping it.
Do you down loop like with that really like the arm movement of like flying it through?
Basically the same as a Johnny jive is you bring it behind you and do that motion, and just drive it behind you and whip it out in front of you. So
talk a little bit more about that, because I think those things come very intuitively for you because you kite, right? So as soon as you see the Parawing, you're like, right, let's down loop. Like tell people what down looping is. And I think it's important to also talk about when to initiate the down loop. Do you start going downwind first and then do it? Do you start throwing it and then cut downwind? Because those things really affect, just like in the kite,
Throwing it before for sure, because you want to keep it in the window. So by down looping it, when you get it back here, it's as soon as it gets in the power position, that's going to want to power up and drive through the window. And as it's driving through the window, you're tacking or you're jibing. So it's creating power, but you're also going towards it, so you're not slacking the lines. So that's basically what a down loop helps you do, is not outrun the kite or wing.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's one of the
Parawing.
biggest problems when people are learning how to jibe is they probably just put the Parawing up to 12.
Yep.
They go downwind and then they just wear it in their head.
Yep.
And I think also just not doing that turn with it at 12 helps a lot. If you just hit the brake lines, have it in front of you, and just have it pitch in front of you, it helps as well. But
Correct.
I think the beauty of seeing someone ride is like how they fly the Parawing, just like a kite. You see someone riding the kite and they're just sending the kite over, it's fine. But then you see someone down loop, you see someone do a tack, you're like, wow, okay, there's a little bit of elegance to it, which I still haven't cracked. Like my tacks are a little inconsistent still, and my heel side one is just not there yet. I don't know why. Like, it's the easiest one for me in the kite. And in the Parawing, it happens very fast. Yep. And like you said, sometimes the Parawing goes onto the other side, the side you're going to ride out too quick, and then you just fall on your back. So maybe talk us through a little bit your technique to tack and how you learned it. I know you took 2 times to learn, but
so I always don't use the sail as any reference as far as power to do it. So I will go into any transition enough to know that if nothing was in my hand, I could complete the transition and still come out 30 yards downwind, or with the 30 yards after. So like I go in the trick with an extreme amount of speed, or as much speed as I possibly can, and then I initiate it. And if I get it to a point where it's at 12 o'clock and I really depower it so there's nothing in the sail, the biggest thing is just don't cause any drag. So I try to get it in a position where it's not causing any drag, and just continue the transition like if I had nothing in my hands.
And that position is really just hovering on top of you?
It just depends. A lot of times, no, it's not hovering. So like I'll bear off, go downwind, and then I'll take both hands and I'll throw it up. And then as soon as it gets to a point, I'll start that tack position quick. And then I'll let go with that backhand, I'll throw it down. And then sometimes I just let it down loop out because I'm going so aggressive at it, it'll just want to continue to roll. So down loop out of attack, just to keep the Parawing in the power position at all times.
Yeah.
So you'll never slack the lines.
Yeah. And I think the biggest tip there is just haul ass into it, isn't it?
Yeah.
The more speed, seriously, and it's a little bit counterintuitive because people they go into it a little bit hesitant and they just brush off all the speed, and then obviously you're going to touch down, and it's not ideal. So I think the best tip there is just to have that confidence in your speed. And then just really, once you're doing the turn upwind, committing to it, and really trying to point back where you want to go, and then not too much upwind. I think a lot of people just stop midway and lose themselves there.
Same as winging. I mean, when you're learning to tack or learning to jibe and winging, you go into it when you're learning super slow because you're just not comfortable. And once you get comfortable just going fast into stuff, it just gives you so much more time. And the other thing is pumping, like practice kind of just doing little slow pumps. Any jibe or any tack, just get that flow going with your lower body, that it'll just give you that extra 2 or 3 seconds that it'll help you make every tack and every jibe. So
I've been practicing on land a lot what you just mentioned of going into the tack, and once the Parawing is on the other side and I know where I'm coming from, let it do that loop and just finish it on a loop so you have that extra boost. And I haven't landed one yet, but I think once that's dialed, that's going to look really nice. Tack into down loop, boom, straight speed off of it. Have you gotten those consistent yet?
No, we have terrible conditions for Parawing here. So the days that we have, me and Johnny were out a couple of weeks ago, and he was doing them. I'm like, oh shoot, I can't let him one up me. So I was doing them, and I found them pretty easy. I just throw it a little harder, and it just wants to continue to loop. So after you throw it, if you just twist your wrist a little bit, it just wants to continue that motion of another 180. So
I think that's going to look really good.
It's good, yeah. And I think going off a little bank swell kind of gets you in a more of a lean position, and it just lets you rotate it a little bit quicker too. You can throw it across the window a little bit quicker. Same as winging. It's just a little bit less control as far as the position of the wing. It's not as direct as a like a foot or a wing.
Yeah, the
regular
boom,
wing.
yeah.
So yeah, especially with hard handles. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, and you, like, a lot of people, when you start parawinging, like, I like to just do land drills. I as soon as I get to the beach, I just take the 3 meter out just to feel the wind, and I spend like 5 minutes just mucking around with it, just to remind my body of how things go, and then get that muscle memory down. Do you have any kind of land drills that you recommend people doing? I think, when you're learning how to kite, gosh, like the first 2 days are just on land, and people expect a lot from the parawing without doing anything on land.
I think if you're really comfortable with the one wheel, I think you can make huge strides with learning with playing around with it on land. Me and Sinbad were doing it in our front yard and just kind of working on handle passes and back loops and front loops, and you get really comfortable because you could power it up. You could basically put yourself in the same position you can on the water with the one wheel, and then you could kind of get in those powered positions so you feel what it's going to feel like when you go into attack, when you're powering into the wind with the one wheel. So
that's cool.
Not a lot of people have the one wheel skills to do that, plus have that. But if you want to bring your level get your level a lot faster going, then yeah, that would be a huge advantage. I mean, a skateboard would be another one just to play with it, so you can know how to depower it and really understand when you're out running it what it's going to do. So
yeah, look, a lot of people are scared of skateboarding, like they don't have a skateboard, or and then you can get hurt. Like the skateboard can hurt you. But like, take everything out of the equation. Just walk on the beach with it. Just walk up and down, walk downwind, and you will start to feel a little bit of these things that you're talking about. Yeah. And yeah, for me, I do that. I'll do the tack and I'll do those loops, and I'm like, I need to get it. And then, it's in my head, and then I just start throwing it in the water, and it definitely helps a lot.
Have you tried a one wheel or no?
Nah, never.
No. Okay.
You've
never been on a one wheel?
No. Actually, I haven't. I've been on an electric skateboard, but not that.
We'll get you on one in Hood River. They're amazing.
God, yeah. I don't want to break my arm the first day and then not fucking be able to do any foiling.
We'll put you on grass or sand.
Yeah. No, I definitely want to try everything. And if it helps, man, I'm down.
Okay.
Stowing versus wadding. When do you stow? When do you just hold it in your hand? Tell us a little bit about how you think about stowing and wadding.
I like to stow every single time. So
really,
my goal is to get proficient at it. So it's 80% deploy ratio, whatever. But yeah, like I'm right around 50% right now. And I want to get it to because that's what I plan on doing in Hood River. I just want to do laps. So I want to be able to get to a point where even if I deploy it and it's a mess, work it out while I'm on a swell and still do it. But my goal is to stash it, spin it around to my back and have nothing in my hands, use my hands as pumping and turning techniques, just like you're proning. And then just ripping. So that's my goal.
I like where you're going with this, because I was shying a little bit away from stowing it all the time, just because it's very easy and very comfortable just to hold it in your hand. But when you're doing turns, there's drag there. It does get in the way as well. And if you just hold it in your hand for long enough, it'll start to tangle. Lines will start going to the backside of the parawing, and it does it's not great. Tell us a little bit about your stowing technique. You mentioned it before, but just take us through step by step. What are you doing, where you're collecting the canopy, and where you're folding things?
Yeah, so the Ozone's different technique than most other ones, but like I was saying, you slide your hand up the front 4 A lines. There's 6, so just the front 4. It accordions, right? And then I take the bar, throw it under my armpit, and then I have both hands work with, and then I'll basically take it and fold it in half, and then I'll kind of just work it in the kind of a ball, stow it in my stow pouch, and then I'll stick the bar and sometimes just stick it in the belt portion. And then spin it around, and then I'm free. And then the same technique when I spin it around, grab the bar out, put the bar in my armpit, grab it, kind of shake it out with both hands, and then get it ready to deploy. And then I'll toss it out and then grab the bar. As I'm tossing it, I'll grab the bar with the other hand and kind of work it out until I'm run out of foil speed.
Yeah, and once you run the lines on the front 4 lines, when you fold it in half, the intention there is to keep all the lines inside the canopy.
It's tough. That's probably what I need to get better at, and that's probably why I have a 50% chances of deploying it correctly. But yeah, I mean, a perfect situation, you could take the lines and put them inside the middle and then fold it. The one thing bad about, not to rag on Ozone, but the lines, I actually coated my lines with a fabric glue. I took fabric glue and I coated all my lines to stiffen them up, like the flows. The flows have an amazing line that is like stiff and
it's a little thicker.
Yeah, the Ozones, unfortunately, they're kind of like a wore out kite line. Like after a while, they could almost knot on themselves if they get loose and then get tight real quick. So I found myself in a way, there's a couple times I threw it out and they knotted on themselves. So I stiffen up my lines with Elmer's fabric glue. And
that's a good hack.
It made a world of difference. And the other thing I did is I brand new out of box, I cut and spliced 9 inches shorter lines.
Is just that so you can get to the canopy a little bit easier? Yeah.
And deploying it's easier because everything's not as messy.
Look, people underestimate how important the line lengths are in these Parawings, and they go for a big Parawing because they think they're going to get up, but the bigger Parawings have longer lines, and if you are a person with, an arm span that's not that wide, you're going to struggle to really be able to pull all the lines and touch the canopy. It's really important to be able to touch the canopy in that one motion, especially the leading edge. If you can't get to the leading edge, you'll have to do a second thing to pull it in, and it'll always want to pick up launch again. So, how much did you take out of the lines?
9 inches. So that's
huge.
Yeah, that's a huge amount. So I took it out of the 3, the 3.6, and the 4.3. The 2.4 I left alone because you can't take that much out before it starts to split into other different bridles. So I'm going to leave the 2.4 alone. The other thing I did is I think it comes with a 15 or 16 inch bar, and I changed them all to 12 inch bars except the 4.3. So the cool thing is that you have a smaller bar. You could stow it away easier with the smaller bar. It's lighter. So I don't know. I'm messing with it. It's like kite foil race days. I mean, you start messing with settings and you kind of trick it and see what's better. I think I've already tried to hook A and C to B hook up in the middle. Like
we were texting Greg's about that. Did you finish that?
I did. It didn't work. So
it didn't work.
Well, it felt spongy and goofy, so the response was not correct. So I need to play with it more. That's all.
Yeah, I like that idea because I think it cleans up the bar so much.
It does.
And ultimately, I think the perfect setup would be something that you would have the bar, maybe the B's connected to the A and the C, but then having the ability to move the B lines further down in the bar to further depower the Parawing would be ideal. But I've been thinking about a little cleat system like we have in kiting, where you can just pull it in and somehow move that that pivot point of the B lines down. Yeah. Don't know. I'm still mucking around with my little modifications myself, but I did like that one that I sent you the photo of. But I'm a little bit bummed it didn't work out. I was going to try that on mine.
What's your idea of a harness line? What's your preference?
I don't use a harness at all. No, okay. I don't. I just ride it unhooked all the time, and I think now I'm at the point where I'm comfortable like riding for 2 hours like that, and it doesn't make me that tired. And that's just going upwind and downwind. And when I'm doing that, I'm not going to be going upwind for 5 kilometers. I'll go upwind for maybe a K and then down, and I'll just do those laps. Yeah. I feel like it's fine. And look, the flow goes upwind really well, so it's not a real issue. If it's overpowered, I can really just ride it on the front lines. It accepts that really well. And if I'm super overpowered, that's when I put the B lines down, halfway from where it is. And if it's, if I need everything, I'll just put it all the way down. But it'll only give you like a 3 or 5%, D power. It's not that much, but it just helps you relieve that tension on your arms. Upwind angles are pretty good. Like sometimes I switch foot, sometimes I don't. So like sometimes I'm just lazy and just go toe side, and they're all right. Like my switch upwind is not that great either. I just have to do it. I'm just lazy with that stuff. Like it's something that I didn't do in winging when I started. I always was going toe side, and I'm like, I should have done it, because now the more I ride toe side, the harder it is to go switch. Yeah. And that's just something I need to work on. But what do you do with your harness? You're into the harness, and because I think also when you're stowing, there's an extra little line there, so it's a little tangling hazard.
Correct. Yeah. The one thing I do like a lot is the right engine chest harness. So you have the hook basically up here. Okay. So it prevents the hook being involved when you deploy it down by your waist. Mm-hmm. So that gets rid of that, and then also your stow belt is nice and clean. It doesn't have any extra hooks or anything for the lines to get caught on. So nice. I'm really liking it. And then having it hooked up here, I find when you're going upwind, you want the Parawing right on the water. Literally the trailing edge or the leading edge could be right on the water, working its way on the water as you're going upwind. And when you get overpowered, it reacts better when it's super low too. Yeah, versus having it a little bit high. And it seems like you really have to pull the A's to really kind of depower it so you don't get yanked off the board. So you could really load up like kiting days. You could kind of hook an edge and just lean back and relax. Yeah, even overpowered. So I find having it hooked up here, you could run the Parawing parallel to the water, and I mean you could go upwind extremely well. So
what's the feeling? Because the one thing that I didn't like too much about the hook is that if I am overpowered, it would kind of get me off that edge or off the rail, right? I'm just calling it a rail, but it's not a rail. Yeah. Because it was too low, and I felt like my waist was just going up, and I couldn't really lean as much as I wanted.
That's why the chest harness will help a lot. Yeah, that's cool. That's why all the wing racers use it.
Interesting. So it's the right engine one.
Yeah, the right engine one's nice because of the weight. It weighs nothing. It has a backpack water pouch in the back, like a backpack, and that's why I cut my bar to 12 inches too, because it'll fit an extra Parawing in the back. Perfect. So that's another big advantage is having 2 Parawings on you.
So it's just a vest kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like you have to look it up, but it's basically just it has a strap that goes here, and strap comes up underneath from your lats area, and then just a hook here, and then it has like a backpack that'll support like a 13-inch bar and at least a Parawing, and a water pouch, or if you want to put your cell phone or whatever in there. So it's a really cool design. If anything, it would be cool to have like a pouch here for like a Bluetooth player or anything. Let's say a phone, whatever.
A little music out there.
So yeah, I was hoping Right Engine would hit me up and I would help them design a Parawing design.
Well, there's still time, man. There's a lot of new stuff coming out. So are you using the Ozone belt? To me, that looks like the best belt in the market at the moment. I think the other ones that came out probably a little bit too small. You end up just like having to shove that thing in, and then like you say, your ability to have a good relaunch I think goes a little bit down because you're just jamming stuff in there. What's the Ozone one like?
So Sinbad helped design the Ozone one. I have Sinbad's first version, and it was amazing. I think it's still one of the best designs. The Ozone's is just the material side is far better as far as like this the elastic side of it, and then the size of the pouch and how it's made. I mean, Ozone makes extremely good stuff. So I think the Ozone has probably the best pouch system for sure. But yeah, Sinbad did a killer design with that, and she talked to the team, and they listened to her, and they made a great product. So I think a lot of people are going to be stoked on it.
Does it have a belt clip and all that stuff with it?
I think belt clip, and then it has a hook that you could put on the belt clip. So if you're into that lower hook area, but I just took mine off and I'm using it as a stow. So
sorry, that's my dog. Yeah. Yeah, look, I think that's one thing that still needs a little bit of improvement. I'm still finding that I want to have something that is even quicker than the Ozone one. Something that, because I tried it under the Rashi. Just a sec. Reef. Reef. That's enough. I love that dog. I found it like just when I was starting, just chucking it under the rashi was good, but then obviously because you're putting it from underneath, it just falls down and you start pumping and it goes away. Yeah. But yeah, I do feel like there's a little potential for other ideas to come out. I saw the North Ranger, which I have one and I'm testing the North Ranger. Really interesting Parawing as well. Very different from the Flow, very different from other things that I've tried. It has a bag, like a backpack, but it's super small. And to stow it and fold it properly on the fly and chuck it in there, I almost don't feel like it's an option. Yeah. I think it's something that you can have with you if you want to swap Parawings on the water and do it slowly. But I'm still after that one solution where it's like, boom, in your hand and just chuck it somewhere somehow. But I don't know. Someone will come up with something soon.
Yeah, there's all kinds of ideas. I mean, it's just going to keep growing. It's going to be pretty cool. And then F1 just decided to make one, so that's pretty cool.
So I saw that. I didn't see any belts with it yet, but that one looks very much like the Flow, just looking at the overall shape and bridle configuration. It's very close to the Flow, so I'm imagining it's going to be a similar kind of thing. I think if you're not launching now a Parawing that has that innate stability in it, you're going to be a little bit behind. Like, you need that stability to be able to ride the front lines, make it a little bit user-friendly, because I think, you coming from a kiting background, you know how to fly it. You can fly a BRM V1 and always have that little tension on the rear so you don't, go over that point where it starts to collapse. What do you think, the designs will look like in the future? How do you think the sport will grow in that regard?
I think it's going to be racing eventually. Honestly.
Oh, no, don't say that.
I really do. I think they're going to turn them into double skins, and they're going to do a racing with them. Who knows if it'll overtake the wing racing, but the capability of hydrodynamics and everything and drag, they're going to be better.
They are. I feel like I
hope they don't. I really don't. I really hope they don't, but I mean, they're already starting to race them in Europe. I mean,
yeah, I saw that.
I'm like, God, no, guys.
Yeah, look, it's exposure to the sport, and I think it will. Like, there will be these different disciplines. Like, there will be people doing backflips. There will be people racing them. But ultimately, if there is a version where it's packable for what we want to do, I don't care. Like, do whatever you want with it. Yeah. I agree that the beauty of the Parawing is when it's not flying. Is when you have it in the belt and you're doing what you want to do, which is just go downwind and surf. Yeah. So, I like what they did there, just because it's an event, it's something new, and whatever it'll go into whatever it has to go to. Let's talk a little bit.
Wait, what brand do you think will make the double skin first?
Starts with E.
Ansys, really?
Look, I think they will have. I think their V2 will come out, or the 4s, the 5s, those bigger sizes are coming out now. But I think for next year they will have a racing one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Flow will have a racing one. I don't know. Gong will have something of everything, half price.
I should save all my R1s because it'll eventually get to the 15-meter race lines.
I know. Do you know what I think though? Like, if you're a winger and you've capped out on your winging, and then you're stalled in your progression, you'll go to Parawinging, and then you'll kind of reach that point where you're doing everything, and then like, what's next? People will get into kiting. Because they will be like, oh, what if we had 15-meter lines on this? That would be pretty cool. Yeah. And I think it will go full circle. People will get back into kiting. Yeah, because kiting's sick, man.
Yeah,
I love it.
So. I was reading something that is kite foiling dead or something like that, or as far as the strap is like Fred Hope style. And
yeah, man.
I mean, there's nothing better on a light wind day just to go out and rip around. So I don't know.
It's the best.
Yeah.
And what he does, man, I wish he got into Parawinging, because I can't even imagine what that guy would do.
He's getting into it.
Is he?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. He'll be full force in Hood for sure.
Oh my, he's going to be chucking like varials or something weird, strapless trick with it.
He was just here. He's kind of more of a free rider, so I think he's going to be on our style where he's going to just want to rip, whip swell. But it was his birthday on Saturday, so we were in the city celebrating it with him.
Does he live in California as well?
No, he's debating on moving to San Francisco, but I don't think people know that. But yeah, he's debating. I think he kind of wants to try the different scenes. So yeah, it'd be fun to have him around.
Absolutely, man. He's one of the people that I really look up to. Like everything that whenever he posts something that's kite foiler related, I'm like, what are you doing?
He's a great Photoshopper for sure.
Moving right along, tell us a little bit about your boards, man. What do you have in the background there?
So I'm working on Sinbad's board. So that's a fresh cut
nice.
From a block that I leave at the dealership. So I'm going to probably go 5'7" by 19, 63, 64 liters. She has a bright idea of jumping a Parawing, and she wants to get it on photo, and you know, she wants to look, hot and sexy in the air. So I got to do magenta and pink and teal, a little bit of teal.
I'm a sucker for that. Those colors are my color. Look at that. Look at that little logo. Pink, man. I'm a pink boy.
So yeah, she wants to look good jumping. So I think I'm gonna have to make her a showstopper.
Nice. What are the boards that you're building in Parawing? What are people asking you for?
Oh, I do it as a hobby, so no one's usually asking. So usually I'll be like, I'll make you one kind of thing. So, but I just made one for Johnny. I think we did a 5'11" by 19 1/4. It was like 83 liters. I think he wanted a little bit. Oh, I know he wanted a little bit bigger to go explore out the Golden Gate, which is a little bit more advanced, and be in a position where he could slog it all the way home. So,
yeah, right.
So he wanted something a little bigger. I wish he didn't. So because I think he's going to be in Hood River probably for 3 months, and he's gonna probably want something smaller. So I'll probably end up making another one or leaving one of mine with him and making one when I come back. But
nice. So your boards are just for mates at this point in time. If I want to get a board, or anyone here wants to get a board, then like, hey, Ken, you want to do a board? They'll be like, nah, mate.
Nah, man. I know that Daniela's trying to get me to make her another Olympic board, and she goes, all right. I need another board. I'm like, no, that means you need another 3 boards. I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
I know how it works. Yeah, I need a quiver.
Nice.
So that'll probably be my next project when I don't know, probably the next month or so. So.
Who does the graphics on your boards? They look freaking beautiful.
My wife. Yeah. So,
nice.
So I used to do them myself, and then she's really good with the color scheme. So I just buy every single color pigment that is available, and she'll sit in here and mix and match and draw it up on her Cricut, on her not Cricut, but whatever she has.
It's beautiful,
on her.
Man.
So she's coming up with some really cool designs, and they stand out. So she's super happy. It kind of gives her something to get excited about. So anytime.
Is she a graphic designer?
No, she just likes dabbling with stuff.
Talented.
Like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool. She brushes it on and everything. So I tell the shapers, like I'll talk to like Keith, to Bull, and a couple other people, like who did the graphics on my wife, and like. She did this with epoxy, and I'm like, yeah, like,
damn,
like that's what I'm like.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Before we go, let's just mention safety. I know it's a little boring, but people getting into parawinging might get themselves in some hairy situations out there if they're not prepared for it. Anything that you would recommend, or like, have you ever had any hairy situations with the Parawing yet?
Not yet. I got tumbled in a wave and felt the lines wrap around my feet, and thank goodness they didn't. But that would be probably the scariest situation I would be in is in Maui, is being on the outside set and not be able to get away from the wave and get tumbled, and then have that thing with you. Best thing to do is toss that thing away. If it sinks, so what? It's not you going to be sinking. So. But as far as exploring and stuff, don't go farther than you could swim. So, I mean, that or just know your surroundings, know your exit points. I really think that carrying an extra Parawing or carrying an extra something is going to be smart. And that's why I'm hoping Right Engine will make something that you could stow an extra Parawing, and let's say, and go out on proper days. I mean, don't go out on days that you're launching a 5.3 Parawing and then you don't have a backup. Go out on a proper day where you're going out on a 3.6 Parawing and you're carrying a 5.4 Parawing as a backup kind of thing. So that's what I would say. And then obviously telling people where you're at and possibly carrying the radio.
Yeah, I think those are all good tips. Personal location beacon wouldn't hurt as well. If you're doing downwind runs, they're around $300, but like well worth the investment, because we had situations down here in the coast where we had to activate it. Two guys were riding a little bit close, and one of them fell, and I think the board just picked up, like the foil picked up the board and got the guy in the head, and he got knocked out. So full rescue, like full chopper rescue kind of situation, but without it, they would have been in a really bad situation. And it's a small thing. You carry it with you in your vest or anywhere. It's fine. Comms are really important. Like you said, share your location with someone. Most of us have a group or something like that we're part of. Just chuck it in the group that you're going out. I don't really wear a helmet myself, but until the day that the thing hits me in the head, and then I'm going to wear a helmet every day, which is stupid to say, but I don't know. I haven't found something good, because I don't like my ears being covered. It just throws my balance off. But yeah, I think for wave riding, 100%, man, like a little kite knife. I think the Ozone one comes with a kite knife.
Yes, it does, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart thing, because in a wave situation, if you do get tangled in that thing, man, that's not a good place to be in. I fell once head first on the Parawing, and it felt like an octopus just landed on my face. So not a bad thing to have that option as well. And wave riding, man, anything you want to talk about with wave riding, because that's the ultimate for me, going into like big swell and riding the Parawing, and just being your own tow device really out there is where it's at for me. Well, you can say a little bit about parawinging in the waves.
Kind of like what Steve Tobis said. I mean, is go out to the outside, pack it away before you get into the actual set, and then just enjoy the journey to the set. If you have to pump a little bit to keep up with the wave, at least you have it out of your hand. You have it nice stacked or stowed away, and you can enjoy the ride once you get to the proper section. That's my goal when I go to Maui. I go to the outside and try to pack it away on the outside break, and then when it re-breaks on the second form, you're stowed away, and then you get the final form towards the beach. So
that's why I think like most of us want to do is just get the biggest wave out there or ride downwind. And I go every now and then to the coast, but I don't live in the coast. But that's when I think people can really put themselves in a bad situation if they're not really ready for it. Getting a few sets on the head with that thing close to you is not great.
Yeah, know that you can't outrun the wave. It's very difficult with the Parawing. You can't generate power like you can on the wing, so you would be hard to escape from it like you can when you're winging. And then doing transitions is a lot slower, so you got to take that into account. So when you try to run away from it, you want to do a jibe or something, it's going to take you a lot longer to do it. It's just not going to flow like you can with the wing. So you got to plan everything out. Just kind of project what's coming at you and project what's going to happen and be ready for it.
And if you're really like in that zone where you're taking a few in the head, again, the wing, you could just pop it up and you're out. You can just, drag yourself out of there with the Parawing. It's not going to be like that. It's going to take a little bit longer for you to launch it in the water. Good tips, man. Anything else you want to touch on, Ken?
I don't think so. I mean, just the foils. It'd be interesting to see what size you're going to bring for a hood.
Yeah, so I spoke with Ewan about it, and I think I'm like the 980 is what I'm going to be riding there most days. 980S. Okay. I don't have any of the R series in the code range. I just like to ride the S series, which is a 9.5, 9.6 aspect ratio. So I'll take the 720, the 850, the 980, and I'll take the 1130 if it's a little bit lighter. He told me that he's been upsizing his foil sizes a little bit because he thinks he can just push down on the foil a little bit more on the turns, and he's not really feeling that he's getting a detriment because the foils are bigger. I'm going to be riding an extra small fuse as well, so there'll be plenty of turning there.
What size mast?
80.
Okay, that's money.
Yeah, I'm on the 80 for everything these days. I don't even even kiting. I should be on an 85. I just chuck the 80 on because I don't want to spend money on another mast.
Once you get used to the 80, it's pretty fun. I mean, it's a lot more playful. You're closer to the power zone of the swell, so you can generate power much easier. So I don't know. I'm starting to love the 82. I was a 96 person forever.
Yeah.
And then I went down to the 86, and then I just recently switched to the 80 a couple months ago, and I've been riding it pretty much every single time I go out there. Even winging it, I'm really enjoying it. So
Yeah. Do you ride it for kiting as well?
no, I still ride the 96 for kiting.
Yeah, kiting you do need a little more, especially because you're just banking too much and you just breach.
Yeah, and I'm riding a 540 foil, so it's a race foil. So it doesn't really. I mean, it would do okay with short mast, but I would breach way too easily.
Mikeslab?
The speeds I'd be going, it wouldn't be worth it.
How? What speeds are you going to?
Oh shoot! I mean, all fast. I mean, they're race foil, so I'm constantly I'm on the edge all the time. So,
do you ride the Ozone? Like, are you on what kites do you ride?
So I have the Chrono 7-meter. That's a really fun, playful kite. And then I just got the new Enduro Ultra X's, the Lula versions. Oh my God, that thing! I actually look forward to kiting every single time there's proper winds because that kite is freaking magical.
Why?
It is really, really good. The weight, it could fly in like nothing, so it's really good for light wind. I could probably fly it lighter than a Chrono, so that'll tell you how good it does in light wind. And then the power it generates in the turn is pretty epic versus the Chrono. The Chrono, you really have to play with it as far as like stalling out the back line to swing it across the window low to create the same kind of power that you can on just looping it with the Enduro. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the Enduro. It is a very, very good kite. So
I was thinking about getting like something different, like a Mach 1, just to do some boost and like have a big air, like really huge air time, and like do just board offs.
Mach 1 is made by who?
I think Ozone.
Mach 1? You're saying the new foil kite.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Have you tried the edges?
No.
The edges is I guess it matters what style you like, but the edges will give you that nice boost, and then you could still be able to loop it. It's a little bit more safety in the lighter winds because when it goes down, you can still get it back kind of going back up. But the foil kites, I mean, if you're really comfortable with the foil kite, there's nothing better than a foil kite. They're so fun to ride.
Yeah, I just want that hang time and just I mean, I've been riding the Boxers for years now, and they're great and they're fun. But I just want to have something different now, in that 15 knot range where I can still boost and do whatever. What size? The hang time? What?
The hang time. I mean, the R1 race kite's probably the best.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you see Jamie Obervik ride is the race kite. So he does some pretty crazy things with those things.
They're too expensive, man.
I know. Well, you can probably get it cheap now. I mean, all the guys that can afford that stuff will be getting all rid of their last year version, which was still amazing. So
yeah, that's fine for me.
Yeah.
What size should I look for?
Recommend for 15 knots?
Yeah.
Probably 11-meter. So
they have a good range though, don't they? You can really stretch that.
13's my favorite size out of all of them. They turn the best. It has the best power range. I say the 13 I could compete with any 15 on the water as far as racing. And it just has really good just overall performance. So 13 with 12 to 13 meter lines, 15 meters being the longest, I think would be a money size for that. I mean, probably 8 knots to 20 knots. You could probably get away with. So,
and that's the Enduro?
No, that's the R1 race kite.
R1.
As far as Enduro, you could probably get away with 7-meter. But
the 7 is where I normally go to.
Yeah. The 7-meter, 9-meter Enduro, you could get away with. Probably, I was riding in 10 miles an hour, so that's what, like 8 knots. 8 knots, and
no, I think for that kind of style of kites, I would definitely go for the smaller sizes. They're just more fun. I don't want to have too much anything big.
Yeah, 20 meter lines is what I like the Enduro on. As far as foil kiting, and then 23s when I'm riding boots or strapless surfboard.
Yeah, nice. I have a similar setup, 20 meters with, well, actually 16 meters with 4-meter extensions. I think it's nice because you can have that option to chuck something small. Ken, that's awesome, man. Lots of nuggets in here. Hope it's been helpful for people getting into parawinging, people learning about boards or anything that we spoke about. Thank you so much for being on. Can't wait to be with you in Hood River, man. It's going to be an epic season this summer.
The crew there is going to be epic for you in July. You are going to have everybody there. I mean, AWSI would probably be the second best, but or probably the first, the best time to go as far as all the pros there. But if you want just the epic conditions, I mean, July is money. Absolutely,
that's what I'm going for. I'm going there for riding, AWSI, more networking. If I have the money, I'll go back. But if not, I want to nail.
You might not leave. You might not leave.
Just rent a house there. I can't really be a remote firefighter. There's not really a good potential for being a remote firefighter these days. But we'll work something out.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Ken, thanks again, man. And I'll see you in Hood.
All right. Awesome.